So I've said this before, but I kind of think that the Duffers' greatest successes and failures both hinge on whether they recognize that the story they're telling is changing and adapt to it or not. Steve staying in the show, becoming friends with Dustin, Robin's ending changes. Those are like the best examples of when they've been like, you know what, this is changing, we should change with it. And I think that Eddie's ending is one of their worst kind of mix-ups there. And I think the reason that ending irritates us so much is because we can feel that the story was going in a different direction and they refused that call. So I just wanted to talk about a few places I think they could have nudged the narrative slightly differently to finish telling the story that their story was already telling. So a lot of this hinges on the fact that truly, narratively, the only person who thinks poorly of Eddie and thinks that Eddie is a coward is Eddie himself. And I think there's a lot of opportunities in scenes that already exist for other characters to intervene with this way of thinking and change the way that he approaches this. When Eddie compares himself to Steve and says, like, you're apparently a badass and a good dude and I just run away, that would have been a great place for Steve to say, we all run away the first time we encounter this. We just try to be better the next time. And that would have been a great way for us to get a little bit of reflection from Steve about how he feels about these last few years of things, and for Eddie to continue to edit the Munson Doctrine, but about himself. And then I just keep picturing while Eddie and Dustin are fixing up the trailer, Eddie putting himself down again and Dustin intervening and saying like, hey, do you remember when you told me I was brave for wearing a Weird Al shirt, and using that to tell Eddie just about how much seeing Eddie be himself has been an inspiration to Dustin and how they already view him as brave and courageous and heroic for being himself in this shitty town that hates him. And from there, the thing I picture is they do their thing, they're running back to the trailer, and then something happens to Dustin. That's when he breaks his ankle. And then, because there would be a real reason that they need a distraction, Eddie realizes that there's something that he can do. And I don't know, the dialogue I just keep picturing is Dustin realizing what's about to happen and being like, Eddie, what are you doing? And Eddie grinning and saying, I'm running. And then he takes off into the cloud of bats, and then we don't see him again until next season. And what I think is crucial about that framing is that it would say that Eddie is a hero when he embraces who he truly is, rather than he's a hero when he finally sheds who he is and becomes something else. And even if he had died in the process of that, it would have been him dying truly being who he is, rather than as payment for not having become something else sooner. But yeah, I appreciate there's a story they were trying to tell. I just kind of wish they had made sure that's the story that made it to the screen, or adapted to the new one that was revealing itself to them.